Hello everyone to the second edition of my favorite shoes, and this edition is truly a vintage one with some rather old shoes. Well, depending on whether you consider vintage from 20 or 30 years, these could potentially qualify or not, but let's dive right in. This very first pair is in fact the very first pair of Chanel shoes that I bought when I was still at university. And I bought them on eBay from someone who I believe had worked in a Chanel boutique. And this was the floor sample, which is why they were very affordable. You can see the little CC right there on the flower. And the reason why I could afford to bid on them and to buy them, because otherwise as a student it would not have been in my possibility. They are slingbacks, and unfortunately through time the slingback stretched quite a lot, so I don't really wear them anymore. I don't know if a cobbler could fix them. I mostly keep them because I think they're very elegant and for like collector slash nostalgic value. They are mid to high heel, I would say, depending on what you consider mid heel, in a beautiful black suede, which has this sort of relief here, or maybe you could call it a plissé sort of an effect. And then they have this beautiful, very thick ribbon with the velvet flower again on top, like a rosette with double petals, and then this CC logo. They are well loved, well used, as you can see, both on the inside and at the bottom. I think I had them, no, did I have them re-heeled? Maybe I did down here, because the leather sole is quite delicate. And I've used them quite a lot at work when I used to work in London. And I actually, back in the day, used to go to work in my heels already. I didn't use tennis shoes or anything like that to walk, or ballerinas. I thought I was cheating. I always wore heels. And even on the train, on the metro, wherever. And so these are well and truly loved. So continuing on talking about these shoes, I decided to have a little pointer, which is actually a really beautiful letter opener with a panther, I think it is. But I can use that to show you, again, very beautiful silhouette, nice curvature here along the shoes. Black leather Chanel shoes. I purchased these in the early 2000s. As I was still in university, and as I said, they were the floor sample, which is why I could afford to buy them. I bought them off eBay, and they're trimmed with this beautiful, very polished, almost patent leather here, mid to high heel, and a beautiful green ribbon, very cool texture, and a rosette, double rosette in velvet, again with a little, I think metal, maybe brass button, not quite brass, with a little CC logo. Very well loved, resold once. Beautiful pair. I loved traipsing around in them going to work, and yeah, now they're just here for the collection as a memento rather than a shoe. My next item is this pair of Sergio Rossi heels, similar height, not stilettos, but still rather tall. You can see here on the inside, maybe you can still just about see Sergio Rossi, made in Italy. Bought these actually when I was in Paris many years ago. One of the first few times I went, and I loved them, and I just thought they were a little bit crazy. I had a very funny colleague once, a male colleague, who told me that they looked like house slippers, to which I retorted, of course, that these were as far away from house slippers, as he was from a fashion critic. But we had a good banter and a good laugh about it. Anyway, they are relatively dressy shoes, again made in suede, very nice polished suede, all the way down through the heel, and I've actually managed not to bang these up too badly, except at the bottom. You can see they've been, again, well loved and well used. I believe in using the items. Trimmed here with satin in the same colorway as the main shoe, but because of the material and the texture, there is a slight difference. So I think it's really beautiful because it's monochromatic, but it isn't, because the satin, of course, is more reflective. And then we have this flower again on the front in suede and fur. It's a fur detail. I have to be honest, at the time when I bought them many years ago, almost 20 years ago, I didn't think about this. Nowadays, I wouldn't buy something that had real fur. I always check and only get faux fur. At the time, I don't think I was as conscious as I am now. And yeah, I have kept them, again, as a memento. I used to wear them quite a lot with I used to have very plain suits, very strict sort of gray or navy, or I wouldn't wear them with the navy, but with gray or with black, I would wear them, or with a very simple dress. And I thought they were really nice, even for work, because they brought a little bit of a zhuzh to my clothing. But if I was otherwise quite conservatively dressed, it was still appropriate for my banking office. So these are them, Sergio Rossi's, in this lovely purple, violet, maybe even color. It actually is between violet and lavender, because they have a bit more warmth in them than just the violet color would, I think. Okay, that's that. The very next pair is a lovely pair of these Gucci Flora sandals. Now I know the Gucci Flora returned for Resort 2025, but these are vintage. These are from back in the day when Gucci first came up with this pattern, and they're very cool. They're wedges, and they are of course finished off in silk, with the beautiful bamboo spine here at the back of the wedge, which gives it somehow, the wedge can be a bit too wide on the silhouette, but look, this bamboo spine kind of narrows the silhouette and makes them very elegant and somehow tinier and thinner, and therefore I think they elongate the leg when you put them on, and they're quite beautiful. And you can see here we have the Gucci again, made in Italy, and lovely leather finish on the inside. Only one little strap here, so very complementary to the feet. And then these ribbons you can tie around your ankle, and it's just with a super simple summer dress. These look so beautiful in an elegant, sexy way. You know, they give life to your dressing. I call them their summer on your feet. Just put these on, simple white dress, or simple, you know, maybe blue or pink dress, something very elegant and plain, and these ones on, and Bob's your uncle, as the expression goes. a favorite pair of mine. These are also very good if you go to events like races, because they are wedges at the bottom, so you don't have this high heel to really sink into the grass. The only concern, of course, is that you've got silk here, which is rather delicate and on a background of white. So of course, if you are really sinking into the grass, that would stain the shoe. If you care, if you don't care, then good for things like, I don't know, going to the Henley Regatta or to the Polo or something like that, where you'll be stepping on grass a lot. Lovely favorite pair that I've enjoyed many times. And then my last piece for today, my pièce de résistance, is actually in the original box. And shoe lovers amongst you, of course, recognize the script of Giuseppe Zanotti. These shoes were actually featured in, I believe it was the first Sex and the City feature film, which came out to cinemas back in 2000 and, gosh, what was it, 2007, 8, I want to say. Maybe later, around that time. I can't remember anymore. But anyway, these are the shoes that Samantha wore when she was waiting for Smith Jared lying down on the table so he could eat sushi off of her. Anyway, this is the box that they came in. And they are absolutely fantastic. And they're, I think it's jewelry for feet more than shoes. Or jewelry in the shape of a shoe. It's the fish shoes by Giuseppe Zanotti. They're very plain sandals, quite high. You can see the heel, but the heel has quite a base here, so, and then it tapers off, and it's executed in wood. So it gives a tiny bit of stability. It's not completely a very skinny stiletto. And I'm just going to remove this for a second. And inside they are black satin. You can see the Giuseppe Zanotti logo. And then look at this, a black satin stripe. Then you've got the fish, and then these two jeweled, almost like bracelet stripes further up the foot. And then this gorgeous fish skeleton, the longest fish bone, and look at how beautiful. Actually, sorry, I have to turn this around for you to see the face really, like that. You can see the fish face. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? And at night they sparkle. They sparkle like 1,000 stars. They are so beautiful. And you have an interesting closure because they basically just hook, exactly like jewelry, like bracelet over here, like that around your ankle. And I usually wore them with a striking silk cobalt dress, trimmed in lace, just a tiny bit of lace at the bottom, down to my knees, and then these heels. And you really don't need much anything else. I don't think you even need jewelry when you're wearing a pair quite as striking as this one. But yeah, these are the Giuseppe Zanotti fish heels. I adore these shoes, and I've put them away for now in my collection, but I think one day I will wear them again because I have a very special affinity for them. Maybe it's the memories and the dancing and the traveling I've done in them, and you know, I think the first date I was on with my husband, the first sort of more formal date, I went in these shoes. So yeah, lovely piece of jewelry. I enjoy shoes that are different, and these hold a special place in my heart. I hope you enjoyed this second vintage edition, and I hope to see you soon. Very grateful for any of your thoughts. If you recognize these shoes, if you have any of them, and if you wish to share any adventures in your heels. Till next time.